UA.1.B.K5. This code talks about regulatory deviation and reporting requirements for in-flight emergencies. All right, the regulation that we need to look at here is FAR 10721. And this one states that in an in-flight emergency requiring immediate action, the remote pilot in command may deviate from any rule of this part to the extent necessary to meet that emergency. And this is really important for you to understand on an operational level as well as for a test level. Again, there's a lot of restrictions in the regulations, things you can do, things you can't do. However, as the remote pilot in command, if you have to break any of those regulations in order to properly handle an emergency, you are allowed to do that. It specifically says here in this reg that the remote pilot in command may deviate from any rule of this part to the extent necessary to meet that emergency. So just because you have an emergency situation doesn't mean you can literally do whatever you want just for fun. You do have to be able to justify this. It has to be to the extent necessary to meet the emergency. Additionally, it says that if you do this, that you also need to send a written report to the administrator, and that's the FAA, upon request. This is a very important distinction you may get some test questions on. They may ask you a scenario like this and ask you about reporting, and you may see an option that says something along the lines of where you have to send in a written report within 10 days. If you get something like that, that is incorrect. There are two things. For emergencies, for deviating from the regulations because of an emergency, first of all, there's no time frame that's listed in the regs. Secondly, you do not have to report this unless you are asked to do so. So if the FAA asks for the report, then you send it in. If they do not ask for the report, then you do not have a report to send in, and they very well may ask you some questions to make sure you understand that distinction on test day.